Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural round of the Sunset Arctic Graphics VOR IndyCar 2005 series. And yes, that is a mouthful, but we are here at the Homestead Miami Speedway to kick off a weekend of racing. It is going to be the first official race that we do this year, and of course also this season. We are here for the season opener in the 2005 series. This is a league that kind of started off based on the Christmas Cup that we ran in 2020, and of course also this year, which came to an end last week. But this league, ran by Gary Gotzo and, well, me helping out here and there. It's going to be a great season. Of course, we want to thank Dakota the Maid with Sunset Arctic Graphics for sponsoring the series. $30 in prize money involved here for the championship top 3, so at least something to fight for. And like I mentioned, this is going to kick off our night of racing. Of course, first we have this series, the 2005 race at Homestead. Then we have the Euro Series later on tonight. In about 2 hours we go green there for the broadcast as well, which will be going up at 8:30 Central European time. And then later on in the evening and into the night for Europe at 7 p.m. Eastern US time, which is 1 in the morning for Europe, we have the main series. So that's what's coming up tonight for you guys here on this channel. So going into this race here, we quickly want to go over the sponsor stuff, get that out of the way. Of course, Dakota the Maid with Sunset Arctic Graphics does iRacing liveries, hero cards, and also logos and other branding. You can see a few example pictures there on the screen. Replica designs for $20, $30 the original designs with chroma matte spec maps. Going for $5, also custom numbers, and $40, which includes source files. I'm not sure which those are exactly, but Dakota knows. Hero cards, $15 for the standard ones. Then you have an animated hero card as well, which goes for $40. I would show you that on the broadcast if I had one available to me, but they look incredible. And then of course also the logos and the branding. Hint, the league logo for the 2005 series is made by Dakota, so that's an example one of those. And of course also the Raceverse and Formula Indy series logos. So that's what Dakota does, and you can contact him on Twitter at SunsetArc lowercase graphics. And let's take a closer look at the track here. 1.5 miles is the track length. 18 to 20 degrees progressive banking. There's 3 lanes around this track. The inside line is 18 degrees, sorry. The middle groove is 19 degrees, and then the outside groove is 20 degrees of banking, which will make the racing very interesting indeed. Of course, as usual, on most ovals, asphalt surface. Then we have a 300 kilometer event, which is the Homestead in the 300, 125 laps. And then you have the basic race info, 60-lap fuel window approximately, and then 4 sets of tires. 10 incident points is going to be a DQ from the race here tonight. Looking at the remainder of the schedule, we of course start at Homestead tonight before we go to Phoenix, Indianapolis, which is the first of 3 Triple Crown races. We have a week off until Texas, Richmond, Nashville. Then we have a week off again until the second Triple Crown race at Michigan, before we finish off the season at Kentucky, Iowa, and Auto Club Speedway. So drivers finishing up their qualifying attempts. And I don't think anybody is out on track actually, so let's bring up the timing tower here. You can see the league logo right there, which is made by Dakota, so I want to thank him for that as well, and of course also sponsoring the series. So yeah, like I said, this is going to kick off our night of racing. We have 3 races coming up. First up, of course, here at Homestead. Then we go to California, the Auto Club Speedway, for 2 races. First up, the Euro Series in about 2 hours, and then in about, well, from this point onward, 7 hours from now is the main series. So here we go. We are gonna get ready to get this season underway for the Sunset Arctic Graphics VOR IndyCar 2005 series, which is gonna be very interesting. Inaugural race here, so quite a few unknowns. Of course, we all know the pack style racing, which we have with this car, but still, running it in a proper league environment like this is completely different to the Christmas Cup. It's a lot more serious this time around, so who knows what's going to happen here. I did hear some talks about the inside line being OP. Hopefully that won't mean too many issues for the drivers to pass, but let's bring up the qualifying results here before the cars roll off for the pace lap. So here are the qualifying results. It is a Team VOR 1-2 in qualifying, led by Oscar Fredriksson in front of Gavin Sanders. Only 0.6 of a second separating the 2 drivers. We have Patrick Silvassi and Gary Gotzo on row 2. Row 3 is Sebastian Kinder and Lewis Woodall. Then we have row 4, Marshall Stanley, who I haven't seen in a really long time, by the way. It's good to have him in this league, racing here tonight. Alongside him is Thomas Geiser on the outside of row 4. And then row 5, the final 2 cars on the grid, Matthew Gard and Shane Coogan. So cars are on the pace lap, going through turn 2 now. Let me know if the audio levels are correct and everything, please. Did some more changes. Actually, let's go on board here and hear if you guys can hear me. Please let me know. But here we go. For the inaugural race in the Sunset Arctic Graphics IndyCar 2005 series for Velocity Online Racing. It is 2 VOR cars on the front row who are going to lead us to the green flag for this Homestead Indy 300. As here we go, pace car pulls in.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag is out. Oscar Fredriksson picks up the pace, and we are green for the season opener here in the 2005 series. Lap number 1 in the books already as Oscar Fredriksson maintains the lead. Going into lap number 2 here. Now, there is one thing interesting that I heard at the Christmas Cup interviews for California last week. There is apparently a side draft effect with this car, which I never really knew about until then. So what I'm going to try to pay attention to for you guys as well is to see when they're going to side draft. I know Alex Van der Zandt is really good at that. Of course, these cars have very big really blocky in a way as well. They're much like a brake, really. So let's see what they can do here with the racing. Lap 4 of 125. And we are going to see some drivers move up to the high side a little bit there to try and look for some clean air. It's largely a single file group at the moment though, but like we see plenty of times in the Christmas Cup, these guys will get more aggressive as the race goes on, as we have a car blinking out. This might be Seb Kinder actually. Yes, it is. So far so good on the setup side as well though. We had some issues in the Christmas Cup with it, and it looks to be fine at the moment, as we have some bots in the chat. I'm sorry, let me try to get those out of the way. And there we go. Drivers are slowly but surely starting to spread themselves out a little bit. You can already see some side-by-side action further back between Thomas Geisler and the car in front, Marshall Stanley there. Shane Coogan also behind in P9. He is the biggest mover, in fact, with only one position gained from the start of the race. Of course, everybody's been on that inside line all race long, so there hasn't really been any change of positions, as Thomas Geisler is now trying to make a move on the outside of Marshall Stanley. Loses the momentum though, he's got to make sure to slot back in line before Coogan gets up the inside, which is actually too late. Shane's already there, as he has got the inside line and pulls in front of Thomas Geisler for now. They're still going side by side though, down the back stretch. And Shane does have that advantage of having the draft of the car in front, which allows him to clear Geisler. Actually doesn't quite do it yet, as Lewis Woodall is sitting behind as well, trying to take advantage of this. Of course, these guys battling is only going to slow them down. And Thomas actually clears Coogan back again to retake that position. If you want me to raise the audio levels, please let me know, by the way. I put them down quite a bit compared to last week's broadcast. So I'm not sure if they're too high or too low or whatever, or if they're perfectly fine. Of course, hearing my voice is important, but hearing these beautiful engines is also quite important for the broadcast, so if you want the volume raised, please let me know. Going back to the front though, Oscar Fredriksson still leads from his teammate Gavin Sanders. And then we have a Team Watson Racing car in the third position, Patrick Silvassi. He made his first start with VOR in this car in the Christmas Cup over December, and then of course the last race last week of that Christmas Cup. And Patrick is one of the drivers in this field with a little bit more experience in this car. He's been racing this car in the past quite a bit, as these guys are battling side by side. Now Thomas Geisler are trying to make a move on the high side on Marshall Stanley, and Shane actually pushes him by. So Thomas clears him into the turn, and then Coogan does the same. Lewis Woodall. It's not Lewis Woodall actually. Why do I think that's Lewis Woodall? Maybe they're running a very similar paint. Okay, never mind. That's Matthew Gard. He's a new driver in the league. That's what got me confused. I'm sorry. So Matthew Gard working on Marshall Stanley as well. And Marshall's dropping to the back here, so I'm not sure if that is planned or if he's actually struggling for pace. But guard around the outside here. Not quite able to clear him yet though. Still not done. So whilst these guys continue to battle, they're losing about 8/10 to the group in front. So they've got to sort themselves out soon enough, and they actually just did that. Perfect timing. And Gary Gotso's also got on in front of Patrick Silvassi here. So let's bring up a replay from this to see what happened here. There's Patrick way up high, and Gary sees a gap open on the inside and takes the gap and the position. So it's now a team VOR 1, 2, 3. Finished off by car number 3. And we're actually seeing quite a few moves happening right now in the back as well. So Lewis Woodall battling with Sebastian Kinder for P5. Side by side in the middle of this pack. Then there's Geiser and Coogan just chilling behind as well. So suddenly the action is heating up, 18 laps in. As Seb with some very nice momentum on the high side here, pulls back alongside Lewis Woodall here. And that's Patrick trying to give his teammate some of the slipstream, but not quite enough for Seb to clear Woodall. Got 3 views at the moment. Welcome everybody. Hope you're enjoying it. If you are, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe, of course, if you want to be notified of the streams happening tonight. Also enable that bell for the notifications. And I just pulled my inner YouTuber on you guys. Only thing really missing is the clickbait in a thumbnail. So Seb and Lewis continue to race each other side by side. Lewis has now gone to the high side though, with Seb on the inside. Ooh, that got a little close. Looking from the top of Seb Kinder's car here. I guess you could call this the chopper cam. You can see his car is moving around quite a bit, and we actually have a battle for the lead as well now. Oscar Fredriksson and Gavin Sanders going side by side, whilst I was paying attention to the other battles. We have a 2x2 battle for P1 and P3 as well, with Woodall now working on Gary on the high side. And Gary's also moving around quite a bit, so Gary's been stuck on that inside line, and I heard Gary say that his wheel on the inside felt a bit funny. Felt like his car wanted to step out after a few laps, so that might be what's happening for Gary at the moment, just the tire is falling away for him. As Gavin actually clears Oscar going into turn 3, but he decides not to shut the door yet, he's still playing nice to his teammates. So starting lap 25, 100 laps to go this time by. Gavin Sanders leads by 2 100ths over his teammate Oscar Fredriksson. Lewis Woodall in the 3rd position at the moment. Then there's a battle for P4 between Gary Gotso and Thomas Geisler, which actually rounds off that top 5 at the moment. Coming out of turn 4 again, these guys are getting very racy, and I wonder if these guys can keep it clean for much longer, because these guys have been moving around and getting closer and closer to each other as Gary gets cleared by Lewis Woodall there. What a move by Lewis on the high side there. Gotta be careful though not to come down too quickly. And he doesn't. Stays up on the high side, and these guys are getting into it now. So Gary drops from third to fifth in a few laps time. Let's go back to Lewis Woodall's pass on Gary here. So that's Gary in the, well, now fourth position, but really in the third position because he's got the inside line. So Gary washes up slightly, then has to lift off a little bit to not push up into Lewis's line. So Lewis actually moves in front of him here, going into turn 1. And then Lewis simply has the better line, and Gary can't go down to the inside anymore because his tires are gone. So Thomas Geisler also is going to move by on the high side here, as Shin is kind of pushing the air in front of Geisler here. So Geisler will be clearing him in a moment, as they still go side by side. But let's go back to live here, as Geisler and Gary are still going side by side actually. So it's been a few laps at this point. But Lewis sitting very nicely in the third position in his very controversial livery. Looking from the back of Gavin Sanders' car, you can see Oscar Fredriksson on the inside there, 12 just moving out of shot. He's on the inside line, Gavin on the outside line. And this gives us a great view from the battle between Lewis Woodall and Gary Gotso. I just saw Gary again pushing up ever so slightly, and Lewis also moves up the track a little bit. Lewis actually gets really good runs out of turn 4 and also turn 2, but he has the room to go to the inside, but he knows that the tires will fall away, so he doesn't want to move to the inside line, which is, of course, very smart from Lewis that he's just staying up here on the high side, because eventually, as the run goes on, Oscar Fredriksson's tires might fall away too, and you can see Sepp Kinder in the background as well, also really pushing up quite a bit. And let's move this onboard camera to Oscar Fredriksson actually. As he is leading, you can see in the mirrors on the right, the pack right behind Oscar here, as Oscar is still battling with his teammate for the race lead. And you can definitely tell that Oscar is lifting off ever so slightly going into the turns, but he's able to keep that momentum going because of the short distance. Ooh, as he gets really close to the white line, has to really correct the car there, loses some momentum. Gavin's gonna clear him and move into the race lead, as Oscar's gonna get swallowed up now, I think. Oh, Oscar getting really close to the apron again, not where you want to be. Lewis Woodall around the outside as well. Oscar again clipping the apron. So Oscar's tie is really falling away now. You can definitely tell by the way his car's handling. He's falling through the pack like a stone at the moment. There's Thomas Geisler on the outside as well. He's going to get some momentum off the turn to try and get by him too. Oh, these guys are going to get really close. Shane Coogan and Gary Gotso there almost colliding into turn 4. But they got away with it. And this is typical Indy Racing League racing, what we're seeing right now. This is very much based off the 2005 IndyCar, IRL IndyCar series schedule on the ovals. Maybe the road courses are an idea for next season. for this league. A potential next season, I have to add. If you want to get involved in this, by the way, or the Euro Series, or even the main series later on tonight, we have Discord links in the description. If you want some more information about the leagues itself, go to velocityonlineracing.com. You can also find the Discords over there, so if you want some more information and then make your decision if you want to race with us or not, you can also find the Discords over there. Sign-ups and other registrations are open on Discord servers only, so... Or if you just want to chat, of course, that's also more than acceptable. But we have the 2005 series, of course, on Saturdays at noon Eastern US time, which is about 6 for us in Central Europe, which is when the session opens. Then the race goes green at 35 minutes past the hour. Then at 2 p.m. Eastern US time, which is 8 p.m. Central European time, is the IndyCar Euro Series powered by Apex Age Coaching. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern US time, which is 1 in the morning for us in Europe, we have the main series. And for this season, all of which will be broadcasted on this channel. Chris Scala from the Captain Esports Network moving all of his stuff around and over to us to broadcast on our channel. So of course we want to thank him for doing that. All of the VOR action in one place. And speaking of action, these guys are still going at it. Shane Coogan working on Gary Gotts on the outside line still. As Oscar's actually battling now with Lewis Woodall for the lead. Gavin dropping to third. I missed that whilst I was talking about the leagues itself. My apologies. Let's see if I can find a replay from this. Oh, they're going through wide across the line now. Lewis Woodall actually leads a lap on the middle groove as Oscar's got the inside back. He drops to third now because his tires aren't really in the best shape at the moment, but he was up there and he still is actually. So Lewis Woodall now on the middle, still defending from his race lead. He's moving up Geisler and Coogan all the way up to the high side now. I don't even know where to look anymore. So, starting lap 44, Lewis Woodall leads from Thomas Geisler, Oscar Fredriksson, Shane Coogan, and then Gavin Sanders, who was leading up until about 10 laps ago. These bots are so annoying. Just go away. So Oscar back to the inside now. Really got squeezed to the inside line there by Lewis Woodall. Gavin even moving to the apron there for just a second. Don't want to do that too often. But Lewis, very good at pinching people down. He drives the NASCARs quite a bit, so he knows how to do that. But it's a little bit scary in open wheel cars though. As we are slowly but surely coming up to the first round of pit stops, expecting them to happen in about 15 laps. I have to say I'm a little bit surprised to see Oscar back up the front again, because we did all see that he fell through the pack quite a bit when his tires started to go off at first. But it kind of looks like at the moment he just cooled off his tires or something that he did to them, and now he's back racing at the front again. Back to the inside line, racing Lewis Woodall to the start-finish line, but he doesn't lead that lap, which goes to Lewis Woodall. I'm curious to see though who actually has the fastest lap of the race at the moment. Which is a 26.30 by Marshall Stanley. That's the fastest lap of the race at the moment. I have to say, I'm really not sure how these guys haven't collided yet. These guys have been racing side by side for, well, not 50 laps, but 45, 40 laps. And these guys know what they're doing, but still they're getting really close to each other. I know that I don't want to be in the middle of this. It's good to see though, everybody being so clean and respectful. And all 10 cars that took the green flag still in competition and on the lead lap. As we start lap 52, slowly but surely coming up to halfway, which is about 10 laps away. Let's quickly talk about the biggest mover, Shane Coogan in a number 29. STP car, which he actually runs quite often. Up 6 positions from where he started in P10 when the green flag dropped. And he's actually working on Thomas Geisler now as well. And there we go, we're going to see pit stops. Everybody coming into the pits at the same time. Shane Coogan wanted to come into the pits as well. And here we go, we have the first caution on the racetrack, and that's for Oscar Fredriksson, who is spun out, as well as Lewis Woodall. And everybody deciding not to come into the pit this time because it's a closed pit. So if you do enter it, you're going to get sent to the back of the field. So everybody wisely backing out. And in all of this, Gary Gotzer now leads from Patrick Silvestri and Marshall Stanley. That's the top 3. But I think what happened to Shane is he wanted to come into the pits, but he actually overshot or something. And he actually missed the pit entrance. So let's see if we can find the replay whilst these guys come to a stop. Alright, so let's go to the blimp here. So everybody makes the call to go down into the pits. Message retracted. Were you swearing, Lily? So everybody going into the pits. Turning to the apron on the backstretch, trying to make their way into the pits. Shane Coogan actually way past the pit commitment line, and Lewis Woodall actually rear ends Oscar Fredriksson. The two make contact, spin around, and Gavin gets some slight wing damage, but gets away with it mostly. And then there's everybody else that just drives by, tries to enter the pits, including Matthew Gard here, who drives by. And of course all these guys staying out. Going back live here though, everybody this time exiting the pit successfully, and all coming into it successfully as well. So this is gonna reset the order to something we haven't seen all night long, as Oscar is being sent to the back for an unsafe pit entrance, I think. Not really sure what's going on there for Oscar, but the good thing for Oscar is, of course, he is further down in the pack, but he does not have any damage as far as I know, because Lewis's hit wasn't super hard or anything, so if there is any damage, it likely will not affect the drag levels of his car, so Oscar will be good to go and try to fight his way back up to the front again. Want to see what happened though from Lewis Woodall, his on board, going into the pits. So Oscar actually goes in a little bit slowly. He's being very conservative for sure. That's an understatement right there actually. But Lewis wasn't able to react in time. I'm not sure what to make of this one, to be fair. Might have been a racing incident. I'm not 100% certain on that one. Thank God I'm not race control, because these guys are indirect teammates in the main series, so I don't think they're going to be too happy with each other. But so far we have seen an incredible race, 54 laps until the caution came out. And all clean and green until then, so it really wasn't until the pit stops where we saw our first incident of the night. But as we are under caution, let's bring up the graphic again for the sponsorship. Sunset Arctic Graphics, the title sponsor of this series. Dakota de May does all of this. Replica designs, hero cards, and some really cool logos as well. So check it out at Sunset Arc Graphics, lowercase graphics on Twitter is how you can contact him. Pace cars off. And we are back on the way here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Lap 57 of 125. Just under halfway. As Gary is right at the front. Which is mostly thanks to the incident involving Woodall and Fredrickson, of course. But Gary has been at the front all race long and just took those 2 free positions home. Well, didn't quite take them home yet, but he's trying to. As we have Shane Coogan also racing Gavin Sanders for P5. Just a little bit behind. Let's see if we can cover this battle for just a moment. There you go. Ooh, these guys are getting very close into turn 1. But Gavin on the inside holds off Shane Coogan for now, who was challenging him on the high side just a moment ago, coming out of turn 4. But Gavin trying to work on Seb Kinder now to move into P4. And these guys are about 4 tenths behind the top 3. Right as I talk about these guys, Patrick Silvassi goes to the inside of Gary Gotzo as well. You don't want to be on that inside line for too long though, so I think Gary knows this and actually lets Patrick by. Because he doesn't quite want to run on the low line, because it will simply just burn up the tires a lot quicker. Of course we saw Oscar moving to the back in the first stint, before that caution came out. But then again, he was also able to move back up to the front again, so. What you might be wanting to try out is to dip the 2 left tires, or the 2 right tires, sorry, on the second lane and then just keep the other half of the car down. To still protect that inside line, but not allow the car to actually go for the gap on the inside. So we're over halfway into this thing. Homestead Indy 300 for the Sunset Arctic Graphics VOR IndyCar 2005 series. And we have Marshall Stanley leading from Patrick Silvassi, who is challenging him for the lead at the moment. And Patrick's teammate Sebastian Kinder moves by Gary Gotzo as well into P3. So Team Watson Racing moving to the front now, deciding it's go time. And Oscar is still struggling with his car, it seems. He's not moving to the front as quickly as he would like. Still racing side by side with Matthew Gard here, who's a new driver in the series. Welcome to him. But Lewis Woodall also not having the easiest recovery drives. Still working on Thomas Geisler. But these guys have dropped back by over 9 tenths of a second now to Shane Coogan. So these guys need to make some more progress, and they've got to do it fast because they're losing the draft to the 6 cars in front. As Thomas once again clears Woodall. There's Gary looking for some clean air on the inside, on the outside. Sorry. Trying to make up ground on Seb Kinder, who passed Gary a few laps ago. And if we all thought the racing in the first half of this race was intense, we are coming up to the final part of this race. Of course, we are over halfway in already. So towards the later stages of this race, people will get more aggressive a lot sooner. So let's see what's going to unfold here. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting one, to say the least. Of course, this car and track as well, in a way, known for its very close racing and finishes. Shane Coogan is now also racing Gavin Sanders for P5. Let's see if we can go to that battle. There we go. So the top 6 single file at the moment, but Gavin trying to climb his way back up to the front after that caution came out for, let's say, quite a major inconvenience for literally the entire field coming to the pits. But Shane Coogan to the inside clears Gavin, and Gary is going to lose a position to Shane as well now. So Gary moving all the way up to the high line, and Gavin, sorry, Gary and Gavin, it's always a bit confusing. Well, at least for me, because I'm not a native English speaker, so these guys, their names are a bit difficult for me sometimes. But Shane clears them both into P4, sorry. So now these guys can settle down to try and get some racing going with the top 3 now, who are still unchanged since the restart, basically. In the meantime, though, Oscar Fredriksson is up into P8 again, following Lewis Woodall. These two collided in the pit cycle about 15 laps ago. It was the other way around, though. Fredriksson in front of Woodall going into the pits, as Gard and Geisler battle for P9. So these guys are 2.3 seconds away from the leading group. So the field kind of split in half at the moment. On board with Coogan into turn 3. Seb really loses some momentum there. Shane gets oh so close to the rear diffuser of Sebastian Kinder, but no contact is made, just about. Was very close for sure though, as we have 50 laps to go. Everybody is just trying to time the run, time the exit of the turn to try and get by before the turn. The next turn, of course. I see what Shane's trying to do. So Shane is trying to make Seb go to the outside line to open up the door for Shane to go to the inside. And ooh, this might be close. Nope. Shane doesn't have enough momentum to do it yet. So all Shane's really doing at the moment is just filling Seb's mirrors. As Shane once again gets a really nice run out of turn 2. Shane with a very nice run. Let's hope for Shane that Patrick will go to the outside as well. No, he doesn't. He stays in line to help his teammate Seb with some draft. But Shane clearly does have the speed in it though, and Seb on the inside might lose some momentum now as Shane gets a really nice run through the turn again that picks up the draft. Tries to go down the inside, but there's not enough space to go for the gap. But Shane is all over Sebastian Kinder at the moment in the 58 car. Shane in the 29. And the top two slowly but surely pulling away. And Gavin Sanders is getting involved in this battle too as Cougar once again picks up the draft. But he's just not able to clear him into turns 1 or 3. Which is really what you need to do. Shane really has to hope that Gavin wants to try and help him out with the air a little bit, try to push him to the front. It's really interesting though with this car. Of course, this is an open wheel car, it's not a stock car. So what I'm saying is going to sound really stupid, but they are actually pushing the air in front of the car to push them forward. It's not quite a bump draft at all, which is something you see in the stock car world quite often. But if you get close enough to the car in front, there is actually some sort of bubble, and especially with this car on the surface, iRacing, there's a little bubble of air that you're pushing. So it's not officially a bump draft, but you are actually pushing the car in front forward. So that's really what Shane's going to hope Gavin's going to do. Of course, in real life you don't quite have that, but this is iRacing, it's all a bit weird. And these guys are still going side by side, so Coogan on the outside, Seb on the inside still, nothing really changing in that regard, but Shane is definitely making progress on Kinder here, because he was about a car length back 10 laps ago, and right now he's working on the side pod of Seb Kinder, so hopefully for Coogan, Kinder eats up his tires and Shane can pull by. But at the moment though, that's not really happening. As Gavin is now trying to have a peek up the inside as well of Coogan. So what this does now is it really forces Shane to the high side. He really can't go anywhere anymore. He's made up his mind now, so he's going to try to work on Seb Kinder on the outside. But the inside is now Gavin's. And Gary's just chilling behind as well in P6. Gary restarted the race in P2. Then fell back quite quickly. Probably wanting to get out of the mess. Especially as the race goes on into its later stages. People will become more aggressive. And that's where Gary's strategy gets really good. He just chills behind, waits for all the carnage to happen, and he finishes in front of everybody. But Gavin to the outside of Kinder now. He got by Shane Coogan a lap ago. Let's see what he can do. He's really got a lot of momentum on Kinder as well now. He might even clear him. Nope, just doesn't have enough. But I think Seb Kinder's tires are pretty much spent at the moment. Just look at the momentum on Gavin's side. So Shane's gonna push him to the front now. Or try to at least. Oh, these guys. Seb moves up a lane. Gavin notices it in time though, so gives him the space, but I think Seb was actually quite nervous in that moment. So less than 40 laps to go. Gavin and Seb oh so close through turn 4 again. As Coogan's gonna make a 3 wide now. I want to go on board with Gary for this battle here. I don't want to grab a TV camera. I want to see it on board from Gary. So Seb pushes up once again. Almost makes contact with Gavin's car there, but Gavin leaves just enough space, and Seb acknowledges the fact that he is there on the outside, so lifts off a little bit. But Gavin's really trying to pinch Seb down now to eat up his tyres more. And in all this battling that they're doing, the top two really have pulled away a lot as they're going 3 wide again in front of Gary. Oh yeah, there's going to be the contact. Seb Kinder makes contact. Gary just taps Seb. Seb's going to make his way down into the pits. Actually speeds into the pits. So he's going to get a speeding penalty. But Seb just washed up the track into Gavin's line there. Let's see if we can find it. If I can find a blimp. So these guys are going 3 wide at the moment. So there's the contact right there. So Seb washes up. Gavin holds his line. And then there's contact between the two. And then Gary has nowhere to really go. He's trying to slow his car down. Just taps him on the rear. But Seb, I'm not sure if he's actually got suspension damage here in this case or not. It's a bit... Oh yeah, he's actually got some suspension damage. And also rear wing damage. So he makes his way down into the pits. But he does speed. So he's going to lose quite a lot of time here. He's actually going to lose 2 or 3 laps even. In all of that though, everybody making their final race round of pit stops in this race. So Gavin Sanders has been in that pack all race long pretty much since the restart at least. And he's actually saved a lap more fuel than everybody else. Shane Coogan goes 1 more lap compared to Gavin. As he slows it down into the pits, but Gary pulls it into the pits as well. I'm not sure if he's got damage or not. We'll find out in just a moment though. It will cost you about 5 more seconds if you do. So of course everybody now a lap down that pitted the lap before. These guys will all cycle back towards the lead lap as these guys exit the pits as well. No wing damage for Gary, so he's on his way again, as well as Gavin. So Shane still out on track, as well as Matthew Gard, who is 4 seconds back. And these guys are still going. I'm surprised Shane Coogan is able to go this long. We have 40 laps to go. Really all this will do for Coogan though is he will be able to take a shorter stop, which might save him a tenth or 2 here and there through this pit cycle. And it could make him move up a position, because he was battling with Gavin and Seb earlier. Of course, Seb is now out of the picture because he had an incident with Gary there. Of course, Gary nowhere to go, just clipped him on the back, but that did mean that Seb is out of the race now pretty much. 3 laps down compared to everybody. And probably damaged as well, but compared to Gavin, Shane might be able to pull ahead of him here. Still not pitting though. I'm really impressed by Shane's fuel mileage here. Picks up the draft from Kinder. I don't think he will be too difficult letting Shane by. Of course it will help Shane a little bit as well, because he's got the draft from Kinder now as he moves out of the way very nicely indeed. So he moves 3/10 clear of Matthew Gard. As we start lap 100 of 125, so 25 laps to go. Will Shane come down into the pits this time around? Nope. Still goes on. So everybody really spread out at the moment, apart from these two. Patrick Silvassi and Marshall Stanley racing for P3 at the moment. Oh, this is a battle for position. 4 cars battling for P6, led by Gary Gotso. Then there's Thomas Geisler somewhere in the middle, but he's blinking out. This is gonna be so scary for Lewis Woodall. As Lewis closes up to Gary here. Let's see what he can do. Cuts to the inside, and there is Thomas Geisler to the inside of Gary here. Oh my goodness. I don't think these guys are going to be very happy with Thomas's connection at the moment. So Gary slots back in line behind Thomas. As we have 22 laps to go. Here's Gary racing with Thomas Geisler. So coming up to 20 laps to go. I think it's fair to say the gloves are off, but how long can Shane Coogan stay out? Or did he pull some kind of strategic masterstroke that I completely missed? Hold on. So 60 lap fuel window gets you to 105 for Shane Coogan, because they last pitted on lap 54. So 104 I should say. No, 114. So Shane has been able to save a lot of fuel. He might even be able to just take a splash of fuel and re-enter the racing surface out in the lead even. Because he's going to save so much time by taking little fuel and probably no tires. We might see Shane Coogan even move towards the front here and win the race. Let's go back to this battle though, 18 laps to go. Thomas still in front of Gary. And really since the incident between Woodall and Fredriksson earlier on in the race, these guys have been together all night long. But Oscar not able to really make any progress as Matthew Gard makes his way down into the pits with 17 laps to go. Let's see if his car will go up the jacks. If his car does... Of course, he will have fresher tires, but if it doesn't, it does go up the jacks. Okay. I was gonna say if it doesn't, then we will probably know Shane Coogan's strategy as well later on. But here we go. Shane Coogan also in the pits, a lap later than Matthew Gard. So these guys have stretched their fuel for the absolute longest possible. Shane stops his car in the box. He does actually take tires, which is interesting because there's only 16 laps to go. So Marshall Stanley, he is gonna take the lead, I assume, because Shane's still gonna get up to speed, which he will here on the warm-up lane. Gotta be careful to not spin the car. There he is. So Marshall Stanley to the front again. Back to the race lead with 16 laps to go. Patrick Silvassi follows him right behind into P2. And now Coogan's gonna get up to speed. Gavin sails past the 29 as well. And then Geisler is too far back. So Shane Coogan did make up a few spots into P4 now. He's gonna follow Gavin around, and these guys are gonna try to catch the two leaders. And maybe we can see a four-way fight for the win. We saw this in the Christmas Cup at California the other day. What was it? Tuesday? Can't remember. Anyway, it was on the last race of the Christmas Cup, where Van der Sande was leading by about 2 seconds, and then the guys behind caught up in about 10 laps time. So let's see what these guys can do with 14 to go. The gap is 1.75 from Silvassi to Sanders. And I think it's coming down slowly. Let's go to the race for the lead though. Patrick Silvassi working on Marshall Stanley on the outside line. So Patrick now, he's really going to get his first taste of trying to pinch somebody down to the inside line to make them heat up their tires. I know Patrick is primarily a road course driver, so he doesn't really know the ins and outs of oval racing. He's not a complete stranger to them, but certainly not as experienced as, say, Marshall Stanley himself is here, who is racing. Marshall racing for the Vortex Sim Racing team, which is quite the powerhouse in the classic IndyCar series on RaceSpot TV, which is actually going to start their season in about 2.5 months from now. At Sebring, as far as I'm aware. But at the moment though, Marshall still hangs on to the lead. Patrick is all over him though. So Shane Coogan and Gavin Sanders also battling for position. Shane actually clears him on the outside line here. Moves up into P3. Great move by Shane Coogan. Really, he's the first car to even have a go around the outside of anybody and actually make it work. Very good stuff by Shane. And before we finish up this thing, I want to get a replay from this. So this was, of course, the pit exit thing. So here's Gavin on the inside, Shane on the outside line. Actually clips the apron on the exit out of turn 4. It might have impacted his momentum a little bit, but Shane just with the flat out better run into turn 1 clears him. So very nice move by Shane. Let's go back to the race for the win. Between Marshall Stanley and Patrick Silvassi. It has been a very interesting and great race. The inaugural round in the 2005 Sunset Arctic Graphics IndyCar Series. And Coogan and Sanders are closing in, but I don't think they will have enough time to catch the two leaders. The gap's gone down from 1.82 laps ago to 1.4. These guys are still chipping away from that gap. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be quite enough. So 6 laps to go. The race for the win, most likely between Marshall Stanley and Patrick Silvassi. As my voice is even feeling the effects of this race. Oh, Patrick with a really nice run through turn 4. Goes to the outside line. And Patrick's been trying to cut back to the inside to try to line up that draft and time it perfectly, but it's just not working out for him, I don't think. Goes to the inside of the track again, picks up that draft. He's gonna pick up the draft from Sepp Kinder as well now, his teammate. Lap traffic gonna try to help him out a little bit, drafting wise. As Patrick has a peek up the inside as well, but doesn't go for it, of course. Not quite close enough yet as well. So 4 laps to go in the Homestead Indy 300 for the inaugural race in the Sunset Arctic Graphics VOR IndyCar 2005 series. As Patrick does have the draft from Kinder in front. Like I mentioned, lap traffic. He might try to help his teammate here, but just won't have enough to really do anything there. So Patrick gonna move to the high side again. Oh, Patrick almost makes contact with Marshall Stanley there coming out of turn 4, but 2 laps to go at Homestead Miami Speedway. Not quite sure who's going to win this one. If I had to put my money on anybody though, it will be Marshall Stanley because he's been driving the inside line all night long. But then again, I also don't think Patrick Silvestri really has shown what he's made of yet. So let's see what he can do on the final lap. Coming out of turn 4, white flag is out. Who is going to win this race? Actually, I don't really know, so let's see and find out. Final lap. Coogan and Sanders too far behind. They don't really have to worry about them. So it's going to be a straight fight for the win between these two. Coming out of turn 4, coming to the line. Into turn 3 first, though. Patrick on the outside line. Marshall Stanley on the inside line coming out of turn 4. I don't think it's going to be enough for Patrick. So Marshall Stanley goes to victory lane in the inaugural running of this series here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And since the caution, really just dominated that inside line and never let go of it. So he wins the first race of the season and the first race of 3 tonight on this channel. Of course, later on tonight, the Euro and Main Series. But congratulations to Marshall Stanley for Vortex Sim Racing. Excellent performance. Let's see, will we get donuts or is he just going to park the car? There we go, donuts. Don't hit the wall. Perfect. So let's bring up the race results for tonight's race at Homestead Miami Speedway. The first and inaugural round of the Sunset Arctic Graphics IndyCar 2005 series. So Marshall Stanley for Vortex Sim Racing wins by half a tenth over Patrick Silvestri for Team Watson Racing. Team race first is Shane Coogan in the 3rd position, Gavin Sanders P4, Lewis Woodall still finishes P5 after contact with Oscar Fredrickson earlier on in the race, which really took both of them out of contention. Matthew Gard finishes P7 from the back of the field at the start, so great job to Matthew on his first race here. Thomas Geisler finishes 8th, Gary Gotso 9th, and Sebastian Kinder 4 laps down finishes in the 10th position. And that wraps it up for the race here tonight. Of course, you still have interviews to do, which is always my favorite part of the broadcast. So let's give everybody some time to get on the Discord. Let's bring up the sponsor stuff. So Sunset Arctic Graphics is ran by Dakota DeMay. They actually make video games as well, but the graphics department does liveries, hero cards, custom logos and branding, and basically anything graphics. So if you want some graphics done for your league or have some paints done for your car in the iRacing service for your team or yourself, go to Sunset Arc lowercase graphics on Twitter, and Dakota does a great job. You can see the pricing on the screen as well. $20 for replica designs, original designs $20, and then $5 for custom numbers or spec maps. And you've got the logos for $50 and $100, and the $40 for the animated hero cards, which look really good, I have to say. I do not have the ability to show them on the broadcast here at the moment, which I will try to get for next week, but they look incredible. So yeah, once again, contact Sunset Arc lowercase graphics on Twitter if you want any graphics done. Dakota is the guy to be at. So let's go into the Discord and see if anybody wants to talk to us. Not seeing anybody in the waiting room at the moment, so let's just give it a quick minute. Patrick is in chat saying he wants to get interviewed, so get in here, Patrick, and I'll talk to you. He's actually gone to the Euro Series waiting room. Alright, we'll just go into the Euro Series booth then. Doesn't really matter. You were in the wrong Discord, Patrick, but hello to you anyway.
I didn't sort any rooms, so yeah.
Well,
Yes.
so you finished P2 tonight, just didn't quite have enough, but just tell us about your race tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really good. Quali round was really decent. I literally done the same time as in practice.
So yeah. About the race, I couldn't do anything else because of the VOR cars ahead, and probably they were working together, so I couldn't done anything. And Seb wasn't right behind me. That was I think it was Gary who between us. So we tried to wheel in. I of course dropped down because how the outside lane worked at the middle of the first stint. And then the pit cycle came. I made the call to not pit with Seb, and it actually worked out. But the actual key in the race was Marshall jumped both me and I think it was Gary who was there. I'm not sure, but he jumped both of us, and basically that was the race. I of course had the small lead out of the pits, but I couldn't do anything else. Yeah, I of course I tried, but I just couldn't do anything else. There was no gap to work with. And yeah, I tried to work together with Seb at the end to like give me draft, but he had damage, so yeah, I couldn't do anything else. So yeah, I mean, I'm really happy. First race of the season, P2. I wouldn't say hopefully Euro will do better because I'm not kind of looking forward to Euro. And yeah, and that's it. And I would like to say thank you to the crew of 51 for working really well tonight. And of course, Team Watson Racing for the drive and giving me the chance, of course. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next one, which is gonna be Phoenix. I wanna get my revenge, kind of, from the Christmas Cup. So yeah, hopefully I will do one better next week.
Perfect. Well, yeah, you already talked about it yourself. So yeah, tonight's race, you said you weren't really looking forward to it, but it's gonna be a great race. You're starting with a little bit more confidence tonight, of course, in this race. So good luck for tonight. And
yeah, thank you very much.
Well, yeah, see you tonight, and for the
see you.
Series, see you next week.
Yeah, see you.
Bye bye. All right, so we have drivers all over every Discord that we have. We have Shane Coogan in the other waiting room of the main series. Let me go over there to grab an interview with him. Hello, Shane. Do you have me? I see that you're muted, so are you here?
Yes, I think I am. Got a copy?
Yes, I got you now. So, P3 for you tonight from the back of the field, pretty much. Just tell us about your drive through the field.
Yeah, it was a pretty good time, pretty good race. Just tried to take it easy, didn't really try any qualifying or anything like that. Just wanted to kind of feel out the race, and there were plenty of laps to try to get up front. It was pretty hard to pass, as you could probably see. So just tried to kind of wait for mistakes or see what lines developed. And it was fun. It's, kind of difficult race, very stuck down. But towards the end, tried some strategy stuff to see if I could kind of make something work. But pretty much ended up back where we were. But overall, pretty good race.
Yeah, towards the end of the race, I was actually wondering what your strategy was going to be, because I was actually expecting you myself to not take tires, but just a special fuel to maybe try to beat the guys out of the pits. But I did see that you took tires there at the end. Do you think your fresher tires, if you had the drafts of the two cars in front, do you think the fresher tires could have made any more of a difference than they did, or do you think this was the maximum result?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I was kind of debating the same thing, staying out there, because I figured I'll just do something different than everybody else is doing, see if it comes up with anything. But yeah, I was debating just taking fuel, but I figured I would take some fresh tires to see if the extra grip would help. And then as I was pulling out of the pits, I saw those guys going by, and I was kind of second guessing the decision. But I think the fresher tires may have helped me get Gavin there at the end. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, pretty good result, and we'll take it.
Perfect. So, of course, you're not doing the Euro Series, at least most likely not, because I didn't see you sign up. But if you want to, feel free to do it. But if not, see you tonight for the main series at IndyCar Speedway.
Sounds good. We'll see you there.
Bye-bye. So that was Shane Coogan finishing P2. I do not believe we have Marshall Stanley with us. So we're going to wrap it up for this broadcast. 15 minutes until the session opens for the Euro Series. So we'll be going live in about 45 minutes. For the Euro Series, if you want to get involved in the 2005 Euro or Main Series leagues, there are Discord links in the description if you want to join the league. I want to thank the Credit Made for sponsoring the 2005 series. There is the graphic on the screen one final time as we sign off here. Thanks everybody for watching once again, and hopefully see you all later tonight for the Euro Series from the Auto Club Speedway.